All right, Andrea from Oscilla, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Andrew. And thank you, everyone. So yeah, I don't know how many of you were here yesterday. We had this presentation about this project, which is a scalable interactive instrument, audiovisual instruments. And we have a demo version here, which involves a floor, a stage version. And just for those of you who were not around yesterday, the interface is very simple. So horizontal movements along this surface, which I'll show you in a minute. If we can have the lights down, please. So, in fact, you might want to stand up to see the floor better. So there's a sort of piano keyboard at the bottom of the stage, and there's an area here you can see. So as an individual steps into the interactive area, its position is tracked, and horizontal movements will control the pitch of the oscillator, and vertical movements up and down will control how loud the signal gets. So it's very simple. There's not much to it apart from this. What comes out of it is the group interaction. So this large version involves a group of people standing together on a stage and making noises, but not just noises. Ideally, as you see, there's another picture on the top screen which shows the, let's call it the correlation between the sounds that you're producing. That's those curves that you see as I step in, see? You see a sort of shape coming up on screen. Those are Lissajous patterns. At the moment, you only see one line, and if you imagine a pen going left and right very quickly across the screen at the frequency of the note that you're hearing, that's what you're seeing. You see it as a little rounded shape now because there is a little bit of reverb which introduces a vertical component. So, if you imagine just a line, a pen going left and right and drawing this plot, and now I'd like to invite my colleague Francesca on stage. She's we work together in this group called Ubic Teatro. So you'll start to see what happens when two notes come into the game. So if you'd like to step in anywhere. Okay, so as before, we have one line. And if you just stay there where you are, Francesca, I'll just step in as well and play another note. So we're starting to see the plot of the two notes combined. I mean, for those of you, let's step out again so we can actually hear the voice, Francesca. Let's go back. For those of you who are into sound engineering and, well, sound processing and all that, this is fairly familiar. These plots, these shapes are used in any mixing console to analyze phase between the left and right channels as sound goes out of a mixing console. But the funny thing here is that because I'm using just simple, pure sine waves, so the simplest possible sound you can generate, the plots are sort of geometrically interesting. And that's the reason for the sound you hear. Of course, I could play any other sound. I could trigger any sample or whatever, but it's intentionally limited to this type of sound because that sound gives me this sort of plot. So what I'd like to do now, if you understand the system, it should be fairly simple. If not, just ask me. But what I'd like to do is invite some volunteers from the audience to just try it out for a few minutes until the next set, perhaps. Yeah, great. Thank you. One. Another one? Anyone else? Cool. So at the moment, because of the size, it's calibrated to take 4 people on board. Of course, you could take more, but so let's have some fun. If one of you goes in, play a note. Do you all read music? Yeah. So well, the piano note notation helps as well. But just as an experiment. Can 2 of you both walk on the same note? So a D, for example, and one after the other, so in a line. So if one of you goes in, yeah, and you follow just behind. So yeah, just one little warning. If you stay a little bit further back, just stop there, come back. Yeah, a little bit further. Due to the calibration, it's only recognizing up to a certain point in space. So you can go back up now a little bit further. Just come around here. Thank you. And now you can come just behind. choreographies for this. Thank you. 2 minutes, yeah? Cool. So thank you very much. That was thank you for your help. Well, it was a short demo. This is actually fun if you have a bit of time to stay inside and play with it. And also, I think we were having quad sound. Of course, from the stage, you don't really benefit much from it in this current version. But one of the features is that each voice, each object or individual that steps in has a dedicated speaker, so you can create chords in space. And that's another dimension of this. But as I was saying, someone mentioned dance. Yes, that is intuitively the next step, you know, to take this to the next level and make it into a performance instrument whereby you write a choreography, which acts as a score, and then you have a complete instrument which acts as an audiovisual context for a complete show in itself. So yeah, that's the plan for the next year. For those of you who are not here yesterday, I'm just gonna give you a link to our work, and you can follow us. And if you're interested in the dance evolution of this, or if you know any institutions that might be interested in this, of course, we are looking forward to collaborations and to expand our horizons. For those of you who were not here yesterday, you will see on that page that we also have, I mean, this is a scalable interface by nature, which means we've had several different versions. Some of them had a small, like a table-sized version where you'd move objects rather than people. And that's one of the features I wanted to experiment with, this sort of scalability of the interface, with maintaining a simple approach, rather intuitive, but with the possibility of adapting it to space and to size and to scale. So thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Music Tech Fest. We did it. We managed.
We did it. Thank you so much, Andrea. Andrea from Oscilla.